How you doing, fight fans? It's Timmy Shoes with Inside Fighting, and I've got an amazing guest with me right now. Rudeboy Randy Brown coming off of his spectacular first round knockout of Muslim Salikhov at UFC Vegas 85. My man Randy, how you feeling?
So good, man. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. I'm really glad to be talking to you again. It's always a pleasure. I have so many questions about the fight, but there was one part of the fight that annoyed me before the knockout, which was brilliant. There was one part that annoyed me, and you talked a little bit about this on your stream. For fans listening who don't know, Randy's got one of the best streams out there, one of the best podcasts, The Pro and the Bro. Find it on his Twitch channel, Touch and Go 170. Is there an underscore in the touch and go? I'll leave a link in the
No,
description. But anyway, the thing that pissed me off was the quote unquote eye poke. Okay, you handled it very professionally. You were just, you sit back, you listen to the ref, and I heard the ref say something like, "You're doing this, don't do that." And I don't know what he said exactly, but then they show the replay, right? And you're posting with your fingers
yep,
straight up,
yep,
which is the rule. You did everything right and you posted and he sort of leaned into your fingers. It was not your fault. It
for
wasn't
sure.
even an eye poke, like your eyes touched it. So,
My fingers never went into his eye. It was just like my hands like rested on his face like this,
right,
because my hands were not pointed this way; they were up like that,
right.
But hey,
And
it is
for
what it is.
people who don't know the rules, you're not supposed to do this. You're supposed to do it exactly how you did it, fingers straight up.
Yep.
So I wanted, what did the ref say to you? And do you have any feelings about that now after the fact? Some people are like, there were so many eye pokes, and then there were other eye pokes during the event that were actual eye pokes. Did he say anything to you or?
No, he was just like, "Oh, you're doing this a lot, doing this a lot," and I was just like, I was like, "All right," I was like, so I tried to explain real quick. I was like, "No, my hands were up," and then he just told me to go to
Mhm.
the corner. So in that moment, the ref's in charge. You know what I mean? So you just got to
Yeah,
follow what he wants. So no biggie. I wasn't even thinking about it too much. You know what I mean? People are gonna talk. People that don't like, people that who are fans of Muslim
yeah,
Salikhov, they're gonna be upset and then look for excuses. But it is what it
yeah.
is.
I also feel like people just don't know the rules. Like people don't know
Yeah.
that you're supposed to keep your fingers up exactly like you did. So I wanted to ask you about because it's something MMA fans or people in the MMA space talk about are the gloves. Some people think that we should go back to like pride gloves in the UFC that sort of curve the fingers down like that. Do you think that that would help, or do you think that would create more problems? Do you think it would?
I think it would create more problems for, especially for different kind of fighters. If you can't open your hand and you can't parry a punch, you take
Right.
away a defensive mechanism. For fight fans who don't understand fighting, they think that you can just fight with your fist balled up like this.
Yep.
That's tension throughout your whole body. You want to be
Mhm.
loose and so you can whip these shots loose. But I don't know, people don't understand it. I mean, if there wasn't a way to fix it, it would have already been fixed. This is years and
Right.
years and years people been talking about this. So if there was a way, it would have already been fixed. I think the gloves are fine. And I think this just comes with the sport and people just need to be aware of it. Fighters need to be
Yep.
aware and that's really it. Fans need to understand that one eye poke doesn't make a person a dirty. Oh, he's a dirty fighter. He's looking to poke people in the
Yeah.
eye. It happens. This is what we do. We're
Mhm.
fighting, so it happens.
Yeah, especially, when guys are posting, when you're hand fighting, there's just no way to avoid it. Now, you got your big check, your big bonus, and then you promptly called out Michael Chiesa. You want to fight at UFC 300. Now, I heard on the stream that you talked to Chiesa. You said Chiesa was like, he was cool. He was open to it. He got to go. But Phil, who does the podcast with you, and there was another fighter there. I didn't catch who it was, or maybe it was your coach.
Troy
Was also
Green.
like, who was it?
Troy Green.
Troy
He
Green.
fights.
Okay,
He fights locally, but he's on his way to the UFC pretty soon here.
yeah, he's a middleweight, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, they were like, oh, it seemed like Chiesa was just trying to get out of there. Now, I don't know if you remember when you came to Brazil and I saw you in Brazil. I'm pretty sure you called out Michael Chiesa, and that was all the way back in 2019.
Yeah.
So you don't think he's ducking the fight. I don't want to, start any bullshit here. But are you gonna have to bust out the your mama jokes to get him to come
Hey,
to fight you?
when I was in Brazil, I said I don't want to have to talk about your mom.
Yeah,
So I want to keep respectful. He seems like
yeah.
he's a respectful guy. Um, Listen, to be fair, I don't think he wants to fight me. I mean, it's
Mhm.
at that time back then it didn't make sense. It makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah.
But I've been chasing him, man, and I'm like, yo, bro, this is a great fight. Stylistically, we match up well, and I just want to test myself against guys that I've seen coming up. You know what I mean? And
Right.
newer fans don't know what he's accomplished, but he accomplished a lot. You know what I mean? So for me, looking at
Absolutely.
just getting that notch, getting that head on my belt, that's all I want. Is saying, all right, boom, I fought the names, guys that I used to see coming up, and that's just cool to me, And so that's
Yeah.
that's more so the reason. And he's ranked. Anybody ranked could get it.
Yep.
So for me, it's like it's a double whammy.
Yeah, he's ranked 14. I think is past due. Randy Brown gets his ranking. So, Uncle Dana, if you're listening, give this man a ranked opponent.
For
And you
sure.
said you wanted to fight at UFC 300. That would be amazing. Um, right now, the UFC 300 card doesn't have a main event, and fans are
Mhm.
kind of like, 299 is better, even 298 is better because there's no main event. People think it's going to be Conor versus Chandler, maybe Izzy versus Pereira. There's a lot of fights floating around. Do you have a prediction for what you think the main event is going to be? And is there a fight that you'd prefer to
I
see?
think the fight will be Israel Adesanya versus Alex Pereira at
Mhm.
205. I think that's the fight that's gonna happen.
And how do you see that going?
I see Adesanya winning, tall order, but I see him winning, and then I see him going down to fight Driscus Duplessis and beating him and being champ and then retiring
Wow, man, that's a storybook ending for his career.
for sure.
Um, so yeah, I wanted to ask you a little bit about 170 because Leon is one of the fights that people thought maybe might be headlining 300 is Leon versus Bilal. I think the last
Ooh.
time we talked, you said Bilal deserves his title shot. Um, I wanted to ask you if Leon fights Bilal, how do you see that fight playing out? And if not Bilal, who do you think in the division right now is Leon's biggest test? Is it Shavkat? Is it maybe Ian Garry, one of these younger guys?
Ah, um, no, I I think I think Leon is the champ for a little bit. I think he'll be the champ for his toughest test, his biggest threat. I think is probably Shavkat, but
Yeah,
I think he beats Shavkat. I think Leon beats everybody in that division handily. As of right now in those top three challengers, I think he beats them all.
I agree. I think people really sleep on Leon's grappling, which
Agreed.
would be Shavkat's biggest advantage. Quote unquote advantage. Now, I wanted to add, you had a little bit of reaction when I brought up Ian Garry. How do you see his fight playing out with Geoff Neal? Because they're fighting next pay-per-view.
I think he gets smoked.
Yeah.
I think that kid gets smoked, but I think he's a great fighter still. But
Mhm.
I think it's too early, too soon. He got pushed real fast. And
Yeah,
I think this is gonna be a good learning lesson for him and for him to step back because he has tremendous potential and a bright future for sure. But Geoff Neal is one of those people. Geoff Neal is one of
absolutely.
them, So you
Yeah.
don't want to mess around with Geoff Neal.
Yeah, but it's like when I asked you about Sean O'Malley, you were like, Sean O'Malley's a motherfucker. He can do some things. Jeff Neal is a motherfucker. Also,
Yep,
he can do some
absolutely.
things. So do you think all that extracurricular stuff, the stuff with his wife, the stuff with Sean Strickland, the really weird trash talk he did with Neil Magny, and the trash talk he did with Jeff Neal, do you think that's maybe working against the guy because he's a talented fighter, but now he's got all this other shit going on.
I don't know him personally, but it depends on his personality and how he takes things. You know what I mean? I don't know how he grew up. I don't know if he's the only child or not. I don't know. Those things weigh on some people. You know, what I mean? Some people just like, all right, it's whatever. And
Yeah,
they can dish it, they can take it, and they live in chaos and they thrive in it. Some people can't. Some people are just looking for a viral moment, looking for some clout, and looking to
right.
just fabricate, a path to the title. But hey, it may work for him, it may not. So we'll see what kind of person he is. But this time he got a real fight. The Luque fight, I was like, okay, maybe he can get away with it. He can eke it out. But nah, not Geoff Neal. I think
Yeah.
Geoff Neal's gonna touch him and touch him good. So let's see how that plays out.
I'm excited for that one. Now, I really like, and you talked a bit about this on the stream also, the really cold walk off. I love your celebrations when you finish a guy because you just walk off cool. I love that.
Yeah.
Sometimes, not just in MMA, in all sports, the over the top celebrations I think are a little bit extra.
Yeah.
And you know, it reminded me a little bit of I don't know if you're into football at all, but there was this guy, Barry Sanders. Do you know Barry Sanders?
Yeah, I do.
Every time he got a touchdown, he just tossed the ball to the ref and he's like, because he didn't do
Smooth.
like he did, yeah, smooth, didn't do a
Smooth.
dance because it's like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So that was
Yeah.
one of my favorite moments. You knocked him out. The one tap after the fact, which was I think the ref was a little bit late, if I'm being honest. Um,
Yeah.
and then the cold walk off. I loved it. Do you take any inspiration from like the other walk off guys? You know, Fedor used to do that. Mark Hunt, obviously, he you know he did the
He weighs it off. He's like,
yup.
he's like, oh, he's done. No, I think the thing about the walk off, man, I don't know. I think it's just something swaggy about it, man. It's something where
Yeah.
it's like when you celebrate and do dances and stuff, that's cool too. That's dope. I love those raw emotional moments. But it's something about I did this. I meant to do it. I trained for it. It was intentional. And yeah, all right. I'm totally in control of myself in the moment. I'm in total control. I'm aware. I'm in control of everything. So when I
Mm.
drop you, boom, I don't like, oh shit, lose my shit and run over there and start throwing these random hammer fists. It's like it wasn't by accident, you know. It's like, yo,
Yup.
yeah, I know. And the worst thing for me is like the most scary. I spoke about this on my stream. Is that the scariest thing to me? Imagine you're in a fight and somebody rocks you, right? And when they rock you, they see you do a little chicken dance, and they just look at you and wait for you to recover because you're not critically hurt, but you're hurt and you're
Right.
visibly hurt, and they're just like, okay, and they don't lose, they stay behind their faculties, and
Yup.
they inch up and they look like they're about to break you down systematically. To me, that's the scariest thing ever because it's like, all right, this motherfucker is a technician and he has a
Yup.
fucking plan. I mean, and then there's a guy that maybe if someone wobbles you or you wobble them and then you just lose your shit and run at them, I'm gonna tie you up, I'm gonna hold you, and like it's
Yup.
you give the person a chance to survive. So yes, to answer your question, I take inspiration from guys like Anderson Silva. He was the king of that.
Oh yeah.
He would crack you and it would just he would look at you and let you know, like, yeah,
Yep.
all night, all night.
Yeah. Didn't he not? He knocked down Forrest Griffin before he knocked him out, and didn't he like try to help him up at one point
He
in the
did.
fight?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he did. He
Cold
did.
blooded, man.
Yeah. I think that just shows that whole another level of awareness and a skill set. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah, and you can see guys it backfiring on guys too when they get real excited, like Pat Barry versus Czech Congo. Like Pat
Mhm.
Barry had Congo on skates, and then he goes wild, and then he ends up getting knocked out. So
Yeah, for
you know
sure.
it goes both ways. But you are a tactician. Your skill set is amazing. I love that you found. I really, for me as a dork, the footwork and the lateral movement I think was such a big difference. And looking back on the fight, Muslim, when he throws his punches, gives a very tight window. It's not like he's exposing a lot of himself. There's a very small window. It
Mhm.
looked like you identified it. You figured out how to find the angle and you sniped it. It was like one snipe down the pipe. I think that really highlights your skill set. You're six in your last seven fights. I'm really
Mhm.
excited. Give this man a ranked opponent.
For
Last
sure.
question. If you can't fight Michael Chiesa, is there another name? Give us another name. Anybody on the radar?
Yeah. If I can't fight Michael Chiesa, I think that, I think Wonder Boy is a huge
Oh,
possibility.
yeah.
I think that'll be nice. I think also just throwing my name in the synchrony of the guys like what Michael Venom Page
Mhm.
and
Kevin Holland.
Kevin Holland. So if one of those guys gets injured, I think the only replacement should be me. I mean, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
I'm here and I'm ready. I'm good for either one of those guys. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So yeah,
And I
that's really
think
it.
Wonderboy also said that he wants to fight strikers. I
Yeah,
can't imagine a better stand-up match than you and Wonderboy. That'd be amazing to see.
for
But
sure.
thank you for joining me again. It's Rude Boy Randy Brown. Check out his Twitch channel. His podcast is one of the best out there. Thanks for joining me, brother.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.